What's going on, Dungeon Dwellers? And welcome to what is the final review of Spooktober 2021. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I hope it's been a good ride for you. But as all good things, it must end. And boy, did I choose a heck of a movie to end with. So without further ado, let's get into underwater. What's going on, Dungeon Dwellers? Welcome back to Dave's Dungeon. As always, I am the one, the only, your host, Dungeon Master Dave, willing and ready to bring you our last movie review of 2021. Now, that's last movie review of Spooktober. Should there be something else that I feel needs to get a review or something else I just feel like making one for, I'll put it up. But for a little bit, I'm going to take a break because I got some family stuff to handle. And then for a little bit after that, I'm writing. So, may take a few weeks or a little while to get another review up, but just bear with me. We'll see if there aren't some things I want to check out in the meantime. But that being said, let's get into this one. Usually I review each film based off 5 criteria, and those criteria are plot, special effects, tension, gore, and killer, victim, etc. Each one of those categories can get you 10 points or you can lose. And out of 50, you will receive your grade. Let's begin. I gotta say, the sort of superficial plot of this movie is relevant. It makes sense given where I live, that it kind of resonates with me. But at the same time, I feel like it ain't Jaws. Let's put it that way. For a movie about horrors in the water, it ain't Jaws. But it could be. And that's going to depend on entirely where they take it. Because for the most part, the sort of action happens away from where people could get to. But that doesn't mean that that these things couldn't get to where people were eventually. So there is that sort of the terror of what's out there. And that works within the plot. And believe it or not, Kristen Stewart pulls off an amazing performance here. Her counterpart in the film literally is a CG tentacle monster. It's kind of crazy how big her acting chops have gotten. Especially when they grew her up to like 4 size. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm getting a little loose and a little freeform in this last one. Ooh. Getting a little drunken master and a little fun because it's Halloween and I'm drunk on lunar harvest powers and pumpkin spice. But anyways, I had a good time with this film. The plot kept me in it. It's a firework from the word go. Meaning if you don't really care about the plot, you're at least going to be on the edge of your seat not caring about it because it's go, 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 go. I have to say, the monstrous action of the film is mwah, between environmental horror, eldritch horror, and the sort of abject, scary what's lurking for you out in the deep dark depths kind of horror, and all of that comes together in such a good way. I mean, it scared me. It legit scared me. This film has many legit scare in it. And, like I said, while it ain't Jaws, it'll definitely keep you out of the water. Most likely keep you out of the water. And for that reason, I'm going to give it an 8.5. Yeah, it's that good. They don't fluff around. It doesn't have a lot of large holes. Everything kind of fits and flows together. I mean, the ones that the movie does have, you could see where they could answer it further in more movies or in prequel or whatever else, but I really feel like this movie does enough to contain a story and all together tell it to where you don't feel like you need any more information, while at the same time, if they wanted to do something more with it, you could be there for it. Now, this film had every potential to be a 9, but for an alternate ending, it's an 8.5. And we'll talk about that in spoilers, by the way, because we're in the non-spoiler section, and we got to swim out to deeper waters. But for now, that's just going to have to do. And I have to say, I love the special effects in this film. Moving on to the next category. I love the special effects in this category, and I mean, it's just so good. I just wonder, how you can push the envelope, because to a certain degree, everybody's afforded one good one. But yeah, no, geez, I hope that didn't put those lines up there. That's gonna suck. Because if I did that and it was like, I'm gonna show what you were poking at. No, it didn't. Okay, good. Yeah. Anyways, that's for spoiler section. If you don't know, now you do. The special effects in this film are great. I like them a lot. I think for CG and for what it was pretty good. Good, pretty good, great, amazing, pretty good. Could be better. Definitely. But at the same time, what harping I might have on it, well, no, there's one big critique and then maybe a nitpick. But for the most part, I'd say they're solid. They're very solid, and they actually give you something that not a lot of other films of this type give you in trying to picture, if you will. You do get a good glimpse of what this movie is trying to use as its villain, so to speak. And the special effects in that regard, given how many films this year I've seen that just had the worst ones, I gotta say it's a solid 9 here. No, 8.5, 8.5. And I'll talk a little bit about why I'm taking a little bit off here and a little bit off there and a little bit. So let's go 8.5 there. Let's go tension. Tension is a 9 from the word go. This film ramps up and stays ramped up. Quick, fast, and in a hurry, and it does not let off, because at first, given the title, you're just left thinking, oh, this is just a environmental disaster, global warming, Greenpeace movie, or some sort. This is some sort of mission against the global polluters sort of mission or story, but it quickly gets away from that. It quickly goes, no, that has nothing to do with what we're doing. And I like it. I like it because it makes you think about that for a second before it drives you to the entertainment, and that's refreshing. That's nice. It keeps the tension nice and ready. And when it gets ready to change over what it wants you to be scared of, it just does it. And it doesn't haggle with it. It doesn't let you cool off. So you'd get a really nice transference from, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, to holy fuck, what is that? Fuck, fuck, fuck. You get what I'm saying? It transitions, You have one curse word for one type of disaster and another for another. But that being said, I gotta give the tension in this a 9. Gore, there's some, but it's you're underwater. It really is kind of hard to do gore underwater. But that being said, this movie still does that eldritch style of gore, horror, weirdness very well. Um, you do get to see some creatures. There are some cool, neat things with them, and I like them. I like each one of the little ones. I got some problems with the bigger ones, and then some problems with the even bigger ones. But those are one of them's a problem, one's a nitpick, and what differentiates those two things will kind of go into more detail in the spoilers. But let's suffice it to say, one kept me from enjoying the movie as much as I could have, and the other one was just something that I went, why did they do it that way? That being said, it's still a I still say it's still a 7, 8, 8. Yeah, I'll give it an 8. Because for as little of as there were as there was, for as little of it as there was, you still got a good sense of everything sort of villainous that happened, and the gore that you did see was well used. So I will still give it an 8, even though it was sort of a little low, a little muted. Um, Victim and Killer, I'm gonna say, is the 10 of the film, because you get the great pairing between Kristen Stewart and the whole of the ocean. So I think she did that good, guys. I think she literally felt like she was at war with the ocean and winning at that. Yeah, if I was her, I wouldn't even take a bath again. I give that the 10 of the film. It really is the sort of best of the best of the sort of what's deliverable or delivered on in this film. You can like it because you can feel ripped off or like you didn't get enough of it. I'd say you got more than Godzilla 2000, whatever it was, 13. The one that had like 22 minutes of Godzilla and an hour and 50-minute film. Yeah, that one. But I think that's going to do it for this film, and my final words on it are go see it. The review, though, is kind of the details a little bit more so. So that way you kind of get a feel for it, and maybe that gets you to go see it. I'll say this is in a very long line of films that have to do with underwater stuff, like The Meg and Sphere and what is it? The Abyss, The Depths. There's a ton of these films that have to do with underwater things that we shouldn't be fucking around with, that ultimately end up wrecking us and killing us. So it joins a loving family that, it really is as good as any of them. Save for Jaws. Jaws is a masterpiece. The rest of these films don't hold the candle to Jaws, but that's neither here nor there. If you're expecting Jaws level out of anything that's underwater again, you missed the point. That's a perfect film. All the rest are just derivative in some way or another. They don't measure up. Maybe there is The Meg with Jason Statham where he literally punches the shark. That one still kind of tickles my fancy. But thank you for joining me this Spooktober. And that's going to do it for our non-spoiler reviews for the holiday Halloween season. So I really appreciate you for joining me, all you horror fans and dungeon dwellers. If you would, make sure you leave a like. Make sure you subscribe for, well, not more reviews for a little bit, but hopefully we'll get some more gaming and other things in here before long. So watch this space. I'm coming back. I'm not gone. I'm just taking a break and getting done with this project. I will say real quick, did I finish all the films that I wanted to finish? Yes, more or less. Did I finish all the films I said I was going to finish this year? Hell no. Will I finish them next year? Maybe. You'll have to check it out next year. I'm probably going to get started a lot earlier, though, and hopefully that's going to give me the edge to get everything done, and I won't feel so rushed and like I'm having to put everything together last minute. So maybe we'll get things done early, and that way I won't have to do so much on the days. So, but with that out of the way, all you non-spoilers people, bye-bye. It was great having you here to terrify. But as per always, you need to run away, because spoilers coming. I'm just going to leave this here so you can stare it down for a minute. Get out of here. Get out of here. Incoming. Oh, man. So, I really like the sort of setup on this film. I really like how Kristen Stewart is this, like, hurt puppy the whole film. Except whoever hurt that puppy, God, you should not have hurt that puppy. You sent that puppy to the bottom of the ocean. And now that puppy's like, why did I come down here? We have stumbled upon an even bigger, more pissed off puppy. The worst kind. And it's you can hear it working the entire time, and that's sort of the thing that carries you. The tension even along the film. It just, you see it happening, and you see it happening, and you hear it happening, and you hear it happening, and then they're not ready to accept Space Sea Monster. And it just sort of becomes, well, we got to get out of here because this place is coming apart, and in a realistic way, you're several thousand meters under the water, which these bases never make sense. Stop putting them under the water. Put the base on top of the water and make you a submarine and just go down, okay? Because you building a base or a drill bit that goes all the way to the bottom is turning out to be a problem, okay? We need to stay the hell off the bottom of the ocean. There ain't shit we can do down there. It is too deep, and we are too small and weak and crushable. And then we taste good with nothing. So, other things down there are like yummy. Y'all are great with ketchup. That's not good. That's not good. And I have to say this. If you're going to give me a Cthulhu monster with tentacles on his face even, don't give me a mouth. Don't give me a mouth like a human has or like an animal has. Give me a mouth like a squid has, If it's got face tentacles and its face tentacles are doing things, don't put a mouth above the face tentacles. Like the tentacles are a beard. That doesn't make any flippin' sense. The octopus has a mouth in the nest of the tentacles, and it's a beak. So when we usually think about Cthulhu, and by the way, this is my nitpick if you didn't understand. If you're going to have a Cthulhuoid monster, make sure that the mouth is like buried in the tentacles so that it could like surround and pull to and eat from that while it's wrapped around it. You understand? That's how an octopus do. That is how an octopus do. And by God, I get we're on the bottom of the ocean in the middle of whatever time it is with no light sources whatsoever. But this movie is dark. And if your TV has spots, if your TV has little shapes, if your TV isn't as clean as you think it is, or isn't as powerful and can't render the dark space, you're going to have a hard time seeing parts of this film, and you're going to want to turn its brightness up or it's backlight up, whichever one makes it look better and clearer for you. Because there were parts of this film where, they're trying to do a reveal and show me the thing that they want me to see, and my TV's not perfect. Okay. Not to mention it's a dark film. It's a very dark film. So, that's sort of the hardest thing for a TV nowadays to kind of put out, is that darker than dark sort of shading through the black shades and the blue, the dark blue, the sort of everything else. So it really was hard to see a lot of things. And sometimes the movie was playing with that and it was preferable. But sometimes I wanted to see what the heck they were trying to show me, and they're not even trying to flashlight it. You get what I'm saying? They're not trying to light it in any realistic way. So they're showing me this thing, and it's just pitch black, and that's kind of the horror of everything, is like, you can't see, and anything down there that could see is gonna have two advantages on you. Number one, because you're in water and you don't move well. Number two, it's natural prey, or its natural predator for these territories. It can see in the dark, it can move in the dark and in the water, and you can't swim that fast or move that fast, and it can. And it can see you, and you can't see it. So that gets like, hey, I can come at you from every direction, kinda. And I really love that. And I really love how one scene works where you have these things hanging above this pathway and you're not quite sure what you're looking at, and then the thing moves and you get the perspective of, I am still the little ant on the marble, aren't I? The micron, we are still tiny in scope compared to some of the stuff in this movie. And it's good. It's good to be able to see that and be reminded of that in some realistic fashion in a plot that's roughly 90 minutes. It definitely, every deliverable it can give you, it delivers on. You want good underwater spacesuits that don't feel cheap, you get them mostly. You still have the trope of the breaking helmet. Even though in a movie about underwater sea monsters, we still get a guy who dies to a malfunctioning suit. I'm still upset by that. Took stuff off for that. Other parts, you have a captain who's ready to go down with the ship, but he makes some of the dumbest choices, man. Like, some of the worst. And like the one place they were told not to go ends up being fine and safe and not even a big fucking deal. And then the one place they're like, we gotta get to, ends up being nothing. And you're just like, yeah, that was good. I'm glad you went there. My other nitpick for Cthulhu Monster is he looking a little small. Like, given the scope of all the rest of everything else in the movie, he looking a little small. And you may say, well, that's not really Cthulhu or what, yada, yada, yada. You're giving me underwater space monster. He looking a little small. Or underwater space monster. You're giving me underwater monster of a eldritch kind. He looking a little small. Those arms looking a little bathtubby and floaty. He didn't look. I guess the perspective made him look less massive than he could have, because I felt like the sort of humanity they tried to portray this thing with, they still don't have the proportions right in this film, I don't think. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong in that, this was just sort of their attempt at getting close. But yeah, the one sort of fever pitch, high tension, stress, and just sort of built moment worked. But as it went on, and as I was watching this thing kind of work, these kind of judgments came along. You understand? Like, I was like, this could be a little bigger given what they got him whacking on, and given what he's already tore up. And that stuff seemed bigger than him, and yet he was able to tear that shit to pieces. And I say he, but I'm just using a pronoun, because I'm not assuming a underwater eldritch monster's got a sexuality, much less what it is. But we know it has a sexuality because it has babies all over it, and I'm not happy about that. And those things are terrifying and awful. I hate them so much. I will say though, they do resemble and in some way remind me of the skull crawlers from Kong Skull Island. For those of you who remember that one, they do remind me of the skull crawlers, as John C. Reilly will tell you they're called. But at the same time, it seems like they still had back legs, and their face wasn't as long, and their hands were webbed with like clawing front fingers. So it was a similar design, not the same, and it wasn't just cribbed. So it had its own uniqueness too. But you get to see them like clinging up the side of the bigger mother father monster, whichever. But for the most part, I gotta say, the monster worked. Kristen Stewart worked the whole time, not just a little bit of the time. The whole time she was on it, and believably so. Acted her way through every scene. I feel like there was a time when one of the actors was like, "Hey, I want to role play too," and they're just like, "Okay, get on the console and start acting like you're doing something." You got one of those moments, which felt like a shut up Wesley moment, but I was up for it. This movie's actually funny and actually has some really good jokes. I have to say, your comedic characters live far longer than I would have let them, but at the same time, I'm glad for it, because in a movie like this, it could have been so sloggy and so sort of like, and now they're walking, and now they're going through water, and now it's crawling through this or going through that. But the sort of levity that certain characters bring really kind of delivers a nice brevity, and in the middle part of the movie that's nice and really helps you stay in it, and doesn't, I mean, even the way he survives is sort of amazing and neat in and of itself. You pick up rocks, and suddenly there's a guy there whose whole bedroom didn't collapse because his whole casing was reinforced. So this movie has so much charm and personality wrapped up in something that's just kind of quick, that it's even worth a rewatch. I plan on going back and hitting it again sometime soon. But I've watched so many films now that saying the word movie to me right now is, yeah, not too pleasant a thought. I've watched enough movies, let alone horror films, to make you want to be sick. But like with any candy, I'll take a break for a little bit, and then I'll come back and be just as ready for it some more. But go watch this film, guys. It's on HBO. Really easy to get your hands on. I was going to do one more film, Annihilation, but it's proving to be a really pain in the ass. Really a pain in the ass to get my hands on. I don't feel like giving somebody else more money for another film that may or may not even be what I wanted for Halloween. So we'll see. I'll let you know how that one goes. May just be a normal movie review, once I get done with my break. So with that in mind, and with no further ado, goodbye, 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 my friends. Thank you for journeying with me. Make sure you leave a like, you horror addicts and you dungeon dwellers, you. I really appreciated you guys coming on this journey with me. Make sure you subscribe. I'll be dropping more of these reviews as time goes on, and I'll be getting back to gaming soon and getting that back up on the channel. Not to mention, I would like to start streaming and doing some of that over at twitch.tv/Dave's Dungeon 1. But we'll get there. We'll get there. I need to get the book published and out of the way so I can build my own studio and stop having to worry about how to do all this stuff and just do it. But one day at a time, and with your love and support, we'll get there. So, thank you guys for journeying with me. I hope to see you on our next adventures. And until then, stay out of the water. And happy Halloween. Thank you for joining me.